When Donald Trump visited a military base on a quiet afternoon, no one expected the kind of moment that would unfold. Known for his lavish lifestyle, gold-plated interiors, and preference for fine dining, Trump had always been associated with luxury. But on this day, he made a spontaneous announcement that surprised everyone present. He wanted to sit and eat the standard military meal with the troops. At first, there was a pause in the room, a part disbelief, part curiosity. The soldiers, accustomed to their no-frills, functional meals, watched as Trump took a tray and sat down at one of their tables. On his plate were boiled vegetables, some mashed potatoes, a protein blob that barely resembled meat, and a lukewarm beverage that might have been coffee or tea. No one could really tell. Trump looked at the tray with mild skepticism, raised an eyebrow, and said, "All right, let's see what fuels the world's greatest fighting force." His comment immediately drew laughs from the soldiers around him, setting a light-hearted tone. As he took his first bite, a mixture of confusion and curiosity crossed his face. He chewed slowly, as if trying to identify what exactly he was eating, then gave a thumbs up and said, "Not bad. Not great, but not bad." The room erupted in laughter. His honest reaction, free from political pretense, was relatable. Everyone there had had that same moment, staring at their tray and wondering what, exactly, they were about to consume. But seeing someone like Trump experience it firsthand brought a human, comedic connection that bridged ranks and backgrounds in an instant. Trump went on to take more bites, each time commenting like a reality food critic. "I've had steaks that were easier to chew," he joked, pulling at the meat with his plastic fork. This vegetable medley must have been cooked during the Reagan administration. His comedic timing, intentional or not, had the entire table roaring. But amid the jokes, there was something genuine unfolding. Trump paused between bites, looking around the mess hall. "You all eat this every day?" he asked a young corporal. "Yes, sir," came the reply. Trump nodded slowly, then said, "Takes more guts than I thought." His tone softened. Suddenly, the jokes gave way to a deeper sense of respect. "You know, back in New York, people complain if their latte's too foamy. You guys don't even complain about whatever this is," he said, pointing to his tray. The soldiers chuckled again, but there was a weight behind his words now. He was beginning to recognize not just the toughness of the food, but the resilience of the people who eat it daily. One of the sergeants said, "Sir, it's not the taste, it's the teamwork. We eat together, we get through it together." Trump nodded thoughtfully, put his fork down for a moment, and replied, "That's powerful. That's America." In that mess hall, with linoleum floors and buzzing fluorescent lights, there was no campaign trail, no media spin, just a group of men and women sharing a meal with someone who, for once, wasn't just their former president, but simply another person at the table. As the meal continued, Trump started asking more about the food logistics. "Who plans these meals? Is there a chef, a budget?" he asked. The kitchen staff explained how each meal was designed for nutrition, shelf life, and bulk distribution, not taste. Trump laughed and said, "Mission accomplished." He then pulled out his phone and jokingly offered to tweet a new recipe idea: "Military surprise stew, a warning, contents unknown." The troops laughed, but what happened next shifted the tone again. Trump stood up, lifted his tray, and walked it over to the clean-up area himself, a symbolic gesture, but one that resonated deeply. A private whispered to his friend, "I've never seen a president do that." Then Trump turned back and addressed the room. "Look, I came here thinking this was just going to be a photo op. Smile, shake hands, fly off. But eating with you, I feel different. You guys live this. You don't complain, you serve, you protect." His voice cracked slightly, not something people were used to hearing from the ever-confident Trump. He continued, "This meal, this tray, it's not about flavor, it's about sacrifice. And I'm honored, genuinely honored to have shared this with you." The room went quiet. Even the usually chatty young recruits were still. In that silence was a recognition that something real had just occurred. Trump may have come in as a politician, but he left that room having earned something you can't fake: a genuine respect from those who serve. After lunch, as Trump prepared to leave, He was stopped by a sergeant major who handed him a folded American flag. "This was flown over our base in your honor," he said. Trump took it with both hands, visibly moved. "Thank you," he replied, his voice unusually quiet. Cameras captured the moment, but it was what happened off-camera that would stay with many of the soldiers. Trump turned to a young soldier at the edge of the crowd, one who hadn't spoken much, and asked, "What keeps you going out here?" The soldier shrugged and said, "We just believe in something bigger than ourselves." Trump nodded, then said something unexpected. "I needed to hear that." As he boarded his vehicle, he turned to the press pool and said, "Don't just write about what I said, write about what I saw. These men and women, they're the real story." Back in the mess hall, the troops talked about the visit, not just the jokes or the speech, but the way Trump looked at his food, the awkward honesty of it, the way he stood up to clean his tray. One soldier said, "I didn't vote for him, but today, he earned my respect." It wasn't about politics anymore. It was about presence, humility, and the rare occasion when someone known for power and wealth humbled himself to share in the simplicity of a soldier's daily life. That tray of food became a symbol not of taste, but of unity. The visit made headlines, as expected. But more than that, it left an emotional imprint that outlasted the news cycle. Social media buzzed with photos of Trump holding his tray, soldiers laughing, and a quiet moment where he bowed his head slightly before taking a bite. Some pundits debated the sincerity of the visit. Was it PR or a genuine moment? But for those who were there, the answer didn't matter. They had seen something raw, something unscripted. One military wife wrote in a Facebook post, "My husband said he hadn't laughed that hard in weeks, and it was because Trump tried their food and didn't pretend to love it. He was just real." And perhaps that's what the country craves most, moments of realness, even if they come served with overcooked peas and rubbery chicken. Trump himself would later recount the experience in a speech, saying, "That day I didn't just visit our troops, I broke bread with them, and let me tell you, their courage might be tough, but their meat is tougher." The crowd laughed, but underneath the humor was a sense of connection that politics rarely delivers. That one meal reminded a nation that behind the policies and headlines are people, real people, who eat, laugh, cry, and serve. And in that moment, even a former president became just another American sharing a bite, a laugh, and a tire.